Right. Welcome to the weekly review, crypto review, where we try to unpack what we see um, in the coming weeks and months. None of this is financial advice. It's just us, collecting our thoughts and sharing it. So do your own research and be accountable for your own decisions. Right. Okay. I'm going to start with Bitcoin. Um, Now, Bitcoin, obviously, last week, we kind of predicted that, we'll play around the 63, 65 zone, and then hopefully we'll get a bounce. Okay, so let me just make this bigger. From a weekly buy perspective, I mean, excuse, there's quite a lot on going on my screen, but for here, it's important. So you can see when we start buying, it's around here, obviously here. When you start buy, if you bought some of this and you bought some of that, you did really well. Or if you waited for that to buy, you bought at the right time and you didn't sell until here, right? So that was a really, really good, good buy and sell. We currently have started seeing signs that there's an opportunity to buy here, and our strategy is bought one here. So, I'd expect that we'll buy some more. We'll buy probably around 58K and potentially slightly lower, maybe um, into the 40s, well into the 40s before I'll probably say, it could go to middle of the 40s to the low 40s before obviously, you get your proper move on Bitcoin. That'll probably happen towards the Q3 zone. That's probably where you see that. So there'll be a lot of choppiness and sideways action. But I'd expect that, would come below this candle later what's. We'll probably go sideways and go slightly up. And the reason for the up is because of these interest candles here, this and this. These candles here, and even this one here. This one here was put through by an institution. They sold this candle. So, they would want to recover their money back. So you can expect that will move up a little bit um, at some point. So for now, I think, it's this candle here I'm looking at here. This candle is my interest candle at the moment with a high of 90,400. I think price will probably inch towards it. May not exceed all of it, but we'll go into the body of it, So I wouldn't be surprised if we go to somewhere around 84K, 85K, 86K. Anywhere near there is probably where price will likely rebound to before the next leg begins. As you can see from here, similar story here. You have the sending in, big sell, another sell, you go sideways, chop, you go and recover some part of that big sell candle, and then you continue going down. So that's what's likely to see. So this is your level one drop, this is your level two drop, and then there'll be a level three drop, and then you continue going, the new bull begins. So that's what you will likely see on the monthly chart. So if I bring it to quick, this is the weekly chart, sorry. That's what we'll likely see on the weekly chart. On the month, obviously nothing is changed on the month. We still expect a rebound, to that 83, 84K here, and then obviously go down one last time to maybe, the low 40s, 45K, maybe 44K, low high 30s, maybe 38K, somewhere there, in between that bracket. If you start buying from here and you DCA yourself down, that's probably the best approach because nobody knows the bottom. Or you have to wait for the trend to change, and then you join the party, which is probably the safest. If you waited here and got this move, and as soon as you go above the 50, you knew you were going somewhere. You wait for the retest, and then you join the party. So you can avoid all the pain of the sideways chop and wait for the actual confirmation to join the party. So that's what I've got on Bitcoin for next week. Next week, I do expect that, we will probably go back and just recover some part of this candle here. this candle here with the body here at around 86K and sitting at around 76K. I'd expect us to play within this. Price will rally into this zone here, create kind of a lower high like we created here. It could even come all the way back up to here somewhere there. 90K is possible. So I'd say between this zone here, which is around the 80K, and your kind of 90K, that's where price will rally to, and then it will come down again to form your third level drop on the weekly chart, and that will be the point where you go through your consolidation phase and where you go sideways and pump, 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 ping pong, ping pong, ping pong, and then ultimately price starts to kind of rally. You can see here, like at the moment, we don't really have a dead cross even yet. So if you look at here, when you actually get to the 200, which we'll get to at some point, the real moves don't start till you have your dead cross on the weekly chart, and the dead cross happens. That is your cue that the floor you found the floor on Bitcoin. So that's another good opportunity. That's another good spot. So currently as we speak, the 50 is so far away. Like it's so far away. It's sitting at 90 something thousand, and this is sitting at 57. So they will meet somewhere, because this will be moving up and this will be coming down. They'll meet somewhere. And when it does cross, you should know that the bottom is near, and not a collapse is going to happen. So that's what I've got on Bitcoin. Let's move on to the altcoins. The altcoins, I want to actually look at Bitcoin dominance as well. So Bitcoin dominance, you can see here on the Bitcoin dominance chart. We're kind of riding the 50 SMA at the moment. We've been rejected off it quite a few times here. One, 2, 3. And I do expect Bitcoin dominance to continue going down to the 50 SEMA, which is sitting here around 56.50, and ultimately go all the way down here. So, you saw the move is complete in terms of one drop here, come here, two drop, and then bounce up, and then have a third drop to somewhere there. And then ultimately it takes the center stage to kind of, so I'd expect that in the coming weeks, probably in the next I would say in the next 3 weeks, I'd expect Bitcoin dominance to continue going down, whilst maybe the altcoins get an opportunity. As you can see, there was a bear flag on it on the 26th of January, and since then it's been going down. So that's what I've got on Bitcoin dominance. Let's move on to some altcoins of interest to me. So Ethereum is one of them. So let's have a quick look at ETH BTC and see what is happening there. So you can see ETH BTC, we do have a roadblock on it. These are roadblocks. We do have a roadblock on it at the moment. So once we are looking for a green candle, where the roadblock is off, and then obviously we can start seeing some movement in its BTC. It's currently looking like it's forming. There's a divergence on this candle, so there is a divergence here, but it needs to prove itself. That divergence hasn't proven itself, so it needs to prove itself. It needs to prove itself, and if it proves itself, then ETH BTC would go up. But currently we have a block on it, so until this block comes off, most of the time, it's a signal that you might go down first before going up. So that's ETH is not formed this key divergence yet for us to get excited at the moment on the weekly chart. If we look at it on a daily chart, we do have some changes. As you can see, the roadblocks have come off, and we have a big buy. This is a lower high. So potentially, this could be a turning point on the daily chart in terms of the ETH BTC. It's potentially a good turning point, and we might probably end up seeing ETH BTC go back and retest somewhere here, because these sell orders here were all institutional sales. So they will probably push price back there to recover that, and then maybe continue its leg to the final drop on ETH BTC, because this is just one drop, this is two, and then you're going to have a third drop first to finish it off. So there will be a bounce on this. The big strong volume is coming here, institutional push. They then fade it, and then the next thing you will go. So there's no roadblocks on this one, which is good. So let's move on to the next one, which is RVBTC and RVBTC. Again, you can see that there was a roadblock, it's been removed. Big sell has come through, so I'd expect the BTC will go up from here on this daily chart. It would outperform BTC. If you look at the weekly chart, again, you can see there's some divergence on this fast moving RSI. Uh, there is a divergence here. If you look at the slow doesn't have a divergence yet, but MACD has a divergence on it. So it's looking good. There's no roadblocks of concern for us. So it looks like our BTC is going to do well in the coming weeks. Probably next 2 weeks will do well, but definitely this coming week. Let's move on to the next one. FET BTC. Let's have a look at FET BTC. So FET BTC, we don't have any on the weekly chart. We don't have any roadblocks to worry about. We had an institutional sell here, um, and the divergence is, if we look at just the closing, we have the low here. We had a low there, and price went lower, and we've been going sideways, and that low has been defended. So we've defended the closing of that. So I think, this one also potentially could be outperforming Bitcoin in the coming weeks. If I look at the daily chart, um, the roadblocks have come off. There's no roadblocks anymore blocking the way. Um, yeah, I think this looks good. There's the move on RSI is all clean. It's all been confirmed. So there was a bear flag here, but that bear flag is played out with a pullback, and now we're going up. So, and there's no roadblocks at the top for me to worry about. So this looks good. This looks good. Fetch BTC looks like it's going to outperform Bitcoin. And in terms of target wise, where we could go, let's go into the weekly chart and have a look at something. So I think here, you could see it coming back to the 50. EMA and SMA somewhere here, because this was an institutional sell. So, it could come all the way up to here, and then we see how it looks like, which will be the pivot base for here. And there is, if I go to the monthly chart, you can see here that we're forming a divergence as well on the month. And you see these are triple bottoms. So bottom, 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 or triple. So we've come to a very strong base, and it looks like it's being defended heavily. Um, so, you know, this is an inverted candle, which suggests that, normally you go below it slightly, you tend to go back up the other way. So it's looking good on FET to do really well. Let's look at quickly look at the actual USD chart and see what we can see there as well. So here you can see big volume institutional buy coming to the market, but at the same time, it looks, they run it down. They normally, when these big candles come in, you tend to see they recover some of it, and they've recovered what they want to recover on the monthly chart. If you look at the weekly chart, um, we had a roadblock. Again, we had a roadblock. We've come down. That roadblock is being removed. We've gone lower slightly. And the RSI has been going up and up and up, as you can see here. And we've got a confirmation of RSI divergence on the weekly chart. This has been confirmed. This low has been confirmed by this crossing and coming back and forming a lower high. So there's a divergence on the weekly chart, which is supposed to play out. And our strategy of buying on the week is bought here, and it normally makes money. So the roadblock is off. We expect it to at least come back and retest the 200 EMA and SMA, which is sitting around 0.67. It will probably come here first 0.5 and then go to 0.67. And if it breaks 0.67, then obviously you'll be going much higher. But I think it will face a lot of resistance here when it gets there. So it's looking good. If I move on to the next one, IMIX, and we look at IMIX, I don't have the BTC pair, but let's just look at the USD pair on the weekly chart. It looks good. So we found the floor here. We found the floor there. There seemed to be a double bottom or divergence here on the on my RSI on that one. And this one is yet to confirm. Um, it's looking good. I like it. I think we're close to a floor, although we've not hit 30 yet on the slow RSI. So, but it's looking good so far. If I bring it to the monthly chart, you can see this probably will be a divergence, most likely. This month, which will form a divergence like that, which means you'll be going all the way back up, maybe to somewhere here around the point 0.7 mark, likely. So daily chart, let's have a look at the daily chart. You can see a big buy is coming, huge buy, and they faded it. The big buy coming, they fade it, and now they're going to run it the other way. There's no roadblocks, no roadblocks at the top. So it looks good for a really good bounce on this one as well. Fat coin. Let's look at Fatcoin quickly and see what's going on Fatcoin weekly chart. So you can see where the roadblocks were. We had roadblocks and we sold big time. They came for a retest, sold off. And I think what is looking now, there was this candle here was a candle of interest for me, which I was expecting that we would sell out. Yeah, I was expecting that we'll sell back below it, and that's what's happened here. So we've gone below it. Um, this one is, mm, it's not giving me the feeling I like, although there is a developing divergence here forming, and there is another developing divergence here forming. So it's still early days, and if we go to the daily chart and see whether we can see what's happening there. So yeah, our MACD is already ticked above zero. There's no roadblocks that I see, but the big institutional buy has not come through yet to confirm the move. So maybe it's a patient game on this one, but the RSIs are confirming the move to the upside. So looks good on the daily chart. The weekly needs to confirm itself. If the week is able to rally, if this today and tomorrow we rally all the way and close above this candle, that confirms the move to the upside. There is a developing divergence, like I said, on the weekly chart between here and there. Um, but it's not confirmed yet. I mean, if you just use the closes, that's the close, that's the close, and the RSIs are still sitting quite high relative to this. And then here as well, I think here as well is the same. So it's looking good. It's looking like early signs of a potential weekly divergence on this one, but it's not confirmed yet. Let's move on to ICP. ICP BTC. Um, so we had a roadblock there, roadblock, you go down, right? And this was a roadblock and it was removed, and we had an institutional buy, so we went up, okay? And then the institutions started selling here, selling there. So this candle is a candle of interest, and it's also one of our pink candles here on this volume chart. So it's a candle of interest for me. I think this rally will probably come all the way back up here. So I will move this to here, come up to here. There is a, the divergence is already in there to a degree. There's a divergence in play here. So it could go down a bit, but it's looking good so far. You could get a zip, but there's a divergence here. You know, this whole move to the downside, you know, the the slow RSI stayed above his signal line. The fast has been doing zig, 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 noisy. But the stable one is telling us that, look, I don't have any plans of going down just yet. So this thing will do a swing back. It will do a swing back most likely. If you look at the weekly chart, um, you can see here there's an institution selling at the moment. And that could be it could be something like that, which closes today, and then you go down slightly, and then off you go. So, there's clearly a roadblock. There's clearly a roadblock. So, until the roadblock comes off, wait to see the next candle on tomorrow's candle and see whether the roadblock comes off. The roadblock comes off and you get a green candle, you can expect we'll be going up. Very, very similar to this one here. We had a roadblock there, sends you back, and then you get your green candle. So, maybe a small move to the downside and then off will be going. So this one, the BTC pair is not strong. And if we go and look at the USD pair, let me just use this one here, the Binance Perpetuals. The USD pair looks pretty good on the weekly, on the daily chart, because you've got a big buy. There's no roadblocks here. So, it likely goes up. This thing goes up on the daily chart. The RSIs are all confirming the move to the upside. The MACD is almost ticked above zero. So it looks good on the daily chart. I think, if this thing goes back, this candle here is an interest candle. This candle is an interest candle. So these two candles here are interest candles for me. Um, and so I'd expect the price will rally at the very least to about the $3 this coming week on ICP. If you look at the daily, the weekly, this is a big sell. And chances are we will go slightly lower first to form a green candle, or this candle will go up to the $3, come back down and slightly lower, something like this, right? Something like that, something like that, where you get divergence first before you go. So we'd have to watch that, to see how that plays, whether we actually go down first slightly today and then tomorrow go down slightly, then continue going to the upside. That's a pattern that I'm looking for. But, in terms of targets on this, these are institutional sells, these two here, and this is a pin candle on our volume indicator. So, I'd expect price will rally back up to $7 in the next couple of weeks. I'll probably say maybe 4 weeks time. You can see ICP likely would be around $7, $8 likely. So it's looking good. Any move to the downside target wise, I think we could go down to about 150, 160. But that's only like $1 off. So if you're spot buying, you buy some here and then you go and buy some other 150s, 140s, you're there or thereabouts in terms of your average price. If you're trading, you got to be careful. So that's ICP. Let's move on to Injective, one of my key coins. So Injective as well, we had a roadblock and we've sold since the roadblock was there on the weekly chart. Our weekly buys have triggered and they're buying. And it's a good place to start buying. It could go down a little bit more. We could go down to maybe, to $1.20, maybe low, somewhere $1.20, $1.30 is possible, and if that's the case, you buy some more, but you don't go wrong buying these, places where the RSIs are normally oversold. You don't lose money doing that. And from a kind of a key count perspective, we've got our big base move there too, and this is our third move to the downside. So a bounce and then maybe another down again before the move is finished. So, and that will create you a beautiful RSI on the slow RSI. At the moment, we don't have one, so this will rise up and then price will go lower and then this will come back down again, and that's really the final entry you want. But this is a great place to start buying as well. And if you go to the daily chart, you can see that the institutions are already showing their hand. They're buying. The RSIs are pointing up. This is a big, massive buy by an institution, big player, buying, and they're going to push the price. They're going to push the price to about 420 at the very least in the coming days or so. So this looks good to me. We've had the fake out, and normally you tend to see price go the other way. So this is a good one. I think for a trade, yeah, if you take it, make sure your stop loss is beneath this one, slightly beneath it, and take profit somewhere there, 420. But I'm looking for spot accumulation. So you pick some there, and we had a this one here did well for those that bought. Look at how high this went to. So if you bought even at $7, this thing went to $14 before it got sold off. So and there was a roadblock, so you're going to go down afterwards. So that's fine. So I think Injective's looking good to me. But I think after this move, it could even pump all the way to $8, and then come back down again. Like we pumped all the way to $14, and here we are. So that's Injective. And let's look at the last coin I want to look at is Render BTC, one of my favorite coins. If you look at the weekly chart, we did have a roadblock, and we've sold off. Um, at the moment, this weekly chart, I think, our system is bought, and we could come lower. We could come slightly lower, but I think because of this buy here, then these two buys here are institutional buys. Most likely, price will rally back up here first before even if we're going to dump it, they dump it. So because the divergence is not really formed yet. So we don't have a divergence, proper divergence yet on this. So any rally to the upside will probably bring us back to the downside at some point before we end up going. But there's divergences on the MACD, as you can see here, all the way through to here, with your MACD bars getting shorter. So this can go on the MACD divergence. And also the RSIs seem to be confirming that you're going to go back up. And also because of the institutional buys here, big institutional buys, you tend to go to the other side. The roadblock probably will come off, and it's come off. You can see there's no roadblock anymore in front of it. So it can go up. So Render BTC most likely outperforms Bitcoin. And if you go to the actual price, the USD price, Binance is the one I want to use. You can see here, again, it's a very similar story, isn't it? You've got those big buys and then the fade. So they fade it and they faded it, right? So you've got our buys here, and these are very good entries. Wow. I mean, 129 and what? 116 entries are very good, very, very good. And this is going to go back up at the very least to the $3.10, slightly higher maybe. And there's a pink candle of interest here. So that's the target, initial target, and it could stretch itself to 340 before you get any move back to the downside. So render is looking good as well for me. And I think that's all I've got in terms of crypto reviews that I want to look at. Let's see, maybe I'll look at one more coin here. Let's look at where is Boba? Boba is another coin I want to have a look at. So Boba, obviously we had a roadblock and we sold. So whenever you get these roadblocks, warning signals, the system has been buying. It's bought here and it's bought here as well. So it's picking up some really good entries. For a spot bag, that's the way to do it. I think we kind of forming. Let me just see whether this yeah, we're forming some form of divergence here. This one has not given us a divergence yet. The monthly, it looks like it wants to continue. There's a roadblock here, which is fine, which we sold off. Um, yeah, I think we probably end up, well, there's a divergence here. It's not proving itself. I think it may come down slightly fast, back to maybe 0.182 or zero point 0.8, somewhere there, somewhere here, before we get going again, would be what I'll say on Boba. So that's all I've got on cryptos, and I wish you all the best and God bless and Tata.